Um, my thought was the um, I'll just throw out my thought that you would each have
Okay.
your own map,
Okay.
and I would have access to both.
Okay.
And then when okay, so the Americans come in with they have their plan, and they try and march on, and it's foggy and whatever like that, so
Right. Right.
his own marching may not go exactly as planned. And at a
Sure.
certain point, somebody's going to run into each other, and at that
Right.
point, I start putting onto uh, your map, onto the British map, the American units that would be at that point uh, the British would be aware of, and I put the British units on the American map that they would be aware of.
Wow.
Okay. Well, that could make for an interesting situation.
Well, it
Um,
really would, especially because we've never played this battle before,
yeah. Yeah. Well,
right?
and
I mean, have
so
you
much of it
ever played this
is,
battle
yeah.
in any series?
Yeah. And there's, to my knowledge, I mean, you've got the heavy fog for several hours, and
Right.
people are going
And
higgly
that was
piggly all over the place.
right, and that was a key thing to why this battle, the result of this battle or whatever,
Right.
very very hard to simulate unless you actually do something like a double blind thing. So
Right. Well, I know
Right.
that they've got rules there for if you're on the road taking a wrong turn and going down the
Route
right,
wrong
lines.
road, right? And
Yeah.
then they've got another
Just the
thing if
way.
you're
Right.
off the road where you are end up taking the wrong turn and going off in the wrong direction.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so the question is, we'd need to have a we need to have a game that's the American game on that's open on Vassal online. We'd
Right.
have to have a British game that's open on Vassal online, and then we need
Oh
to
yeah.
have
Sure.
the master game. So my
Huh.
question is
and that
for
doesn't even necessarily need to be online because I can do that as an offline game. But uh,
oh yeah, that's true. Because you'd have to do it. I don't know that you'd do it. You could do it online because you would have to be leaving that game to jump into the ones to see where Michael and I are doing something. So what are you proposing? Is it a case where we're telling you, hey, I'm marching these units from this location to that location, and then um, you're
Well, obviously.
handling we're getting lost on the road, or is it a case where I'm moving the units? So say, for example, I'm the Americans and I'm moving the units, and um, I'm rolling every time we come to a crossroads or something like that, and then we've got to deal with taking the wrong turn. Um, then I'm handling all of that, or you're doing all of that. How involved do you want to be in the process?
the I mean, um, I
Well,
hadn't thought that far along, but
are, now, where did you? There are no formal rules for double blind here.
right. I could not find any that I mean, but it did mention it that saying, oh, use these scenarios would be good for a double blind.
Oh, it did say that. Yes, I saw that earlier today. Yes.
And I started
Um.
thinking about that. Well, how we got three people? How could we do that? Because
Right.
we have, and it's a
Yeah.
small. And the nice thing about it, it's a small game. So one person on a side is easy in this.
Sure. Sure. And not only that, but it probably also makes the umpire's job easier too. Just you're not having to keep track of a million different things.
Right
Just 10,000, which is a
now,
hundred
now,
times better, really.
right now, what this will do, the other thing that this does is it makes it kind of hard for Eric's live stream.
Right.
Yes,
That's
unless I was the
Unless you were the
referee.
umpire. Well,
Yeah, if I'm
yeah,
if I'm the umpire, then people are going to see what's going on the master screen. And then as I kind of jump back and forth from one to the next and such. Um, hmm. Well, but now the real question is going to be what do we do when it comes time for there to be some sort of combat?
Well, I think what we need to have is a clear understanding of what causes the umpire to put a unit on the map. Because if I heard you correctly, David, and I think that's the only practical way to do it,
Right.
is that if if the conditions are met, then the umpire says, "Hold on,
You
this
can see this British unit.
this
They can
particular
see,
British unit, it's not even just like, yeah, there's 300 infantry in front of you, right? Because I mean,
Right.
in game terms, that would get to be really impractical, right?
right.
So you say, oh, you see this guy, he's in this hex facing that way. And then combat would be completely normal in that sense. And obviously, if you, and again, I think the key is what constitutes visibility. Now we know that in the heavy fog, the range of visibility is only one.
Yep.
Um, and we know that in the light fog, I think the range of
Is
visibility is
three.
three.
Yeah.
And then clear is okay, but so then we have to get into a little bit more detail, right? What distance can you see somebody at? And do we have to calculate line of sight for all of that all the time? Right? I mean,
Yes.
is there a maximum number of hexes at which you really can't see them, even if you did have a line of sight, for example? So, I mean, I think
Um,
we would just have to establish
right.
what those rules would be. Don't get me wrong, I've never played a double blind game. I would love to play double blind, especially because what they tell me when they did a double blind Mel some
Right.
years back, and they said it was hysterical because suddenly all these swaggering armchair generals are terrified of sticking their neck out and getting whacked because they don't have the God's eye view they're accustomed to. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah, they're right. Um, so so it, so given that, totally down with it, absolutely down with it. Maybe we don't actually start play tonight. Maybe we just establish what the ground rules are. Because
Yeah.
honestly, I think we got to do that. I don't know. You game?
I like the idea.
Okay.
I think
I'm game
the
because I
trick is
thought it
going to
was.
be it's going to be um, it's going to be trying to figure out the logistics of it and
Yep.
how to do that. I think from the point of view of, so let's talk about the mechanics of how we would do something like this. So the umpire is going to have offline the battle,
Full map.
the full map, right? Um, and so is the British player setting stuff up? So I know the British player sets up. There's some sort of setup for them. I mean, I'm seeing
Yes.
right now that there are units on the map in certain various and
Right.
sundry places,
Right.
and so you'd have to have that done first, and
Yep.
then the question
And
is,
while they're doing, the British are doing that, the American is setting up their march orders plans, basically, from the way I was reading the
So,
scenario.
are you proposing that we actually go ahead and do scenario 2 so that actually the British don't know where the Americans are coming
Yes.
from?
ooh,
Yes.
I like
Yep.
that. Okay.
Sure. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Because otherwise, if you know what's going to happen, it's easier to
Yeah,
deal
and
with
I,
it.
I I haven't played the battle, and I haven't read much about the battle, but still, it's like, hey, if we're gonna do it, let's do it.
So that would be scenario 2,
Two.
which
That's
is
right.
Washington's choice.
Right.
Scenario starts at 5 a.m., lasts to 2:40, so it actually starts a little bit earlier than the other one. All
Right.
American units enter the map as reinforcement columns from the 5 a.m. turn onwards. In road column, American player ranges the organization and entry of his columns per 7.2 below. He must write down the composition of each column, their hex of entry, and their projected path of travel. The columns must follow as best they are able, given the fog rules, their projected path.
Mm,
If a column moves adjacent to a British unit, or if any combat takes place within 15 hexes of a unit of the column, it is then loosened from its
okay,
projected path and can maneuver freely. The
right,
purpose of this rule is to keep the American player from altering the path of columns in order to avoid British pickets, which he should not know are there. Well, and if we're doing
right,
double blind, we're not going to know that they're there anyway.
exactly, yeah,
Um, Example, the American player could write Washington, Sullivan, Stephen, Alexander, enter at W 1020, proceed down
right,
Township Line Road to Schoolhouse Lane, move southeast towards Germantown. Green, Wayne, McDougal, enter at E 1033, proceed down Major Road to Germantown.
right,
Okay. So then
okay,
after that's something then obviously the umpire is going to be handling the mechanics of that. After the American player has organized his force, the British player sets up all surprised units set up in route formation with artillery units on their unlimbered side, non-surprise units set up in the formation listed. The British
right,
player does not begin rolling for surprise removal on the first turn. Instead, he must wait for the army to be alerted of an attack. On
okay,
the turn after the army is alerted, he may begin the normal process of rolling to remove surprise. The British Army is alerted in two ways. First, when an American unit comes within 2 hexes of a British unit, the British Army is alerted. Second, during each rally phase, the British player rolls a die and consults the alert number on the turn record track. If the die roll is within the range of numbered listed, the Army is alerted. If the Army is not yet alerted, the British player still expends activations for his commands, even though they cannot do anything. Special results cannot be applied to the British Army until they are alerted. The British pickets are not surprised, but they may not expend any movement points until the Army is alerted. As an exception, when each light infantry unit is activated, the British player rolls a die, and on a roll of a 9, it can move for that activation only. The line of retreat for American units is towards the road that their command entered on. The British line of retreat is toward W 7018 or W 7032.
okay,
Right.
okay,
So American setup, the American player, as General Washington, has to make choices about his distribution of forces and line of attack. He has 6 elements to work with in his deployment. Each of the 5 wings, plus McDougall's command, can make organized up to 3 columns.
mm,
General Washington, Brigadier General Knox, and Sullivan's wing, as the main army, will always be the basis of the first column. The American player can have up to 2 more columns besides Sullivan's column. If Green's wing or Stevens' wing is chosen to lead a column, that column is considered a detachment with Green or Stephen as the attachment leader. Each detachment column must have at least 2 elements to it, but a non-detached column may have only 1 element. Any organization must be ordered so that Sullivan's column deploys at least as many elements as any of the other columns. Example, the American player could have a column of Sullivan, Wayne, and McDougall, another detachment column of Green and Stephen, and a third non-detachment column of Nash's troops. Or he could deploy 1 column with Sullivan and Wayne, a detachment column with Green and Nash, and another detachment column with Stephen and McDougall.
right.
After
Who's
organizing
Nash?
his,
I don't see Nash on the order of battle here.
um, as
Nash
far as
Stevens.
with the
Oh, okay. He's part of Alexander, but he's only part of a. Okay.
yeah, so yeah, so Green's got, it looks like McDougall, Muhlenberg, and Whedon, and Stevens got Woodford and Scott. And Alexander's got Conway, Maxwell, and Nash. And
Okay.
Sullivan's got Commander, DeBoer, Hartley, and Wayne's got Hartley and Humpton. Okay. All right.
Okay. So the way this is structured is that the order of battle doesn't literally look like this, because this is the order of battle for the historical scenario where Green was a detachment including Green and Stephen, but obviously it would be Green and whomever.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Right. So
Yeah, that's
potentially the American
oh,
player
that's fascinating.
could mix up their detachments in that way. So
Right.
after organizing his forces, the American player must determine the point of entry for each column. He can choose from
Okay.
7 points of entry. So
Okay.
W 1020, W 1006. So where are these at? So east map. That's
West
the east
map.
map. Where's the west map?
West map. Okay, West map 1020 is there. It's a road entry on the top of the map
Okay.
there. And then West 10006
Yep.
is here behind the mountain.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we've got
East 1033 is here.
okay.
And then East 1023 is here. And then East 2001. What?
Yeah, East 2001.
Oh, it's on the east side of,
Yeah.
of the map, on the right side of the map.
Well, that's actually technically the
then
north side of the map, but
Oh shit, that's too bad. Okay.
if
That's
you're
gonna
looking
screw
at
me
the
up for
compass
rest of the
rose,
game.
yeah.
Yeah. And then there's 3601, and then 5201 must be way down here. The road to Germantown. Okay, but then there's some numbers in parentheses after each of those.
Right. So let's see what that means. Yeah, because we have 3-9, 2-9, 1-9, 2-9, 3-9, 4-9, 5-9. So let's see. When the American player wishes to activate the first command or wing of a column, he can choose any assigned command, and he rolls a die based on the point of entry. If the die roll is within the dice range listed for that hex, the activation proceeds, and the entire column of that command is
that's
then
good.
eligible to enter the map per
That's
normal
good.
activation rules from that time forward. Okay, so it looks like some of the ones that are kind of off the beaten path,
So
you have to
so
roll a
yeah.
higher number
number.
to trigger that.
So it's like the Americans are broadly coming from northwest, I guess,
Yes.
based upon what direction the rosette's pointing. And so the entry points that are closer to there, you're more likely to enter right away.
Yes.
Try one of the other ones, it's more likely to be later. But the genius part is you don't know. And the British don't either. It's awesome. It's not like you can say, well, I definitely got 3 turns before I see those guys. Like, well, maybe. Yeah, maybe 6.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
Even if you will ever see, the British have no idea if they'll ever see anybody coming down that road. Sam.
Right.
Absolutely. Wow. That's cool. And I really like that because of the uncertainty really for both sides.
Right.
You know, I mean, obviously a different war, although not that far away from here. But during the 7 Days battle, it's like, you know, where's Jackson? Where's Jackson? Like every battle, Lee is like, so much for that flank march.
So,
right?
So let's think about how, from a logistics point of view, this is going to work. So it would be a case that, so say, for example, the the American player has assigned his forces and where
Right.
they're going to be entered, the entry points, and where their
Right.
destination is going to be, right?
Right. That's all been written
Yeah, and
down.
that's
Yep.
all been
Okay.
written
Yep.
down, and the referee has that information. And
Yeah, that makes
then,
sense.
yeah, and so then
Right.
it's going to be a case where the referee's going to roll for activation, and they're going to roll, and it's the Americans have the activation, right? So then, is it a case where, um, so say we're all in the same channel, or is it a case where, everyone's hanging out in the separate channel, and I would then, or the referee goes into the channel and says,
Yeah.
you have the activation, which force do you want to activate? Or because you can't see it, the British player can't see it anyway, it doesn't matter, and he can say, I'm going to activate, the, Washington's force. And then there's going to be a
Yeah.
die roll, or is it a case where it's all being kept, where everyone's truly kept in the dark?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting nuance, isn't it? Because it obviously if you throw the one die roll and then it's like, okay, well there goes that activation. Well, that didn't really tell the British anything other than the fact that, well, Washington's not coming yet.
Well, but the thing is, you're not saying anything about it. Because the die roll is happening, maybe just on the American player's map.
Well, actually, I'd have, if I was doing this, I would have each of you roll one die.
Oh, I see.
Oh, for the initiative, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
No, which is really the way you're supposed to do it anyway, right? So why not?
And then I
But
would tell who had the activation, and you would do, we'd be in Discord. You don't necessarily have to say verbally who you're doing. Just, ping the guy, and I'll know that's who's moving, and I will, update the map according. One
so
other,
so do we actually have two channels?
So
I
we
would
would.
just have, I'd have a single channel that would, so we could all, kind of converse.
Okay.
Um, if there was a reason we had to, the umpire has to convey some information privately, then we could always drop into uh,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
referee and the appropriate person could
Right.
drop into a separate channel and do
Right.
that. Other than that,
No, I mean, I guess it makes a certain degree of sense because you don't have to say very much as long as the umpire can see what you're doing.
right. I would say, ping the unit you're moving. You
Yeah.
would, do ping it. I'd say, yeah, I'd know, and it'd move, and I'd update the master, and
Right.
and
Right.
we'd go
Right.
from
Right.
there.
Right. Right. Okay.
Um, one thought I did have: how would we want to possibly work with the possible wrong turn and the wrong direction? There's
Well,
two ways we could actually, I could actually, let the American um, player know, okay, or we could have the the American's map reflecting what he thinks is going on.
it, and, and that's actually so evil, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It really is. But then how do you unwind that?
Well, it's when contact is made, that's when would unwind, because all of a sudden the American
Or
unit would be up against a British unit, and all of a sudden they'd be both on the map, but they wouldn't. The American unit wouldn't be where he thought they was.
okay, but let's come up with another scenario. It wouldn't be difficult to do that. You're marching along, and you take a wrong turn, and you keep marching, until you go off the board. I mean,
Yeah,
without ever making contact with the enemy.
that's a possibility.
Well, although
Interesting.
it says you don't go off the board, so it
Well,
said
but
something about you don't go off
but
the
you
map.
take my meaning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I think what I'm saying is that there should be more ways than just contact with the enemy to make it obvious that you've taken a wrong turn. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a nice
Here's
idea.
just
All of
here's
you get
just
to an intersection and there's a marker
let,
there that says, "Oh, this is the road to
well,
Timbuktu," and whoa, wait a minute,
exactly.
we're on the
So
wrong road. Are we?
if
So
you
they'd have
reach
to.
another intersection, or if the road you were on, you should have only been on for 10 hexes and you've already gone 20 hexes. It's like, well, okay, clearly something's wrong, right?
Yes.
But I mean, probably just have to leave that to the umpire's judgment. For one thing, I think it's hysterical, the idea that you don't even know where your troops are. I think that's awesome. I can't think of anything more bar in the whole world. And
Ah.
and so yeah, I'm totally down for that. It's like the American map should represent what the Americans think is going on. And frankly, even that's going to be arguably more information than the American general would really have, right? Because he's going to have a pretty good idea that the other wings are entering, even if he doesn't know precisely where they are. But
Well,
that's fine. It's
yeah.
still way better than a straight up game.
Well, and so here's the question. Like, I know that with the Kriegspiel, um, they'll send, wherever, whoever your leader is. So say, you're General Washington. They'll
Yeah.
send you a screenshot, and you'll know where General Washington is, and you'll be able to see whatever he would be able to see within 100 yards, 300 yards, whatever the case
Oh,
might be.
right.
And so, if you're playing Washington's wing, then you know where Washington's at. You might not
Right.
know where Sullivan is, and you might not know where Wayne are, and they're various and sundry battalions, but at least you know where
Right.
you're at.
Well, first of all, I completely agree. That feels more like multiplayer,
Right.
where literally
Right. Each person has a
each of
command.
the columns is a separate player, and none of them have any idea where the others are. But I'm thinking in this case, I mean, I kind of even like the idea that Washington doesn't know where he is. He thinks he knows where he is,
Ah,
right?
okay.
But I mean, I think that's supreme.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, that's like triple blind.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I mean, we got the heavy fog anyway, so there's a certain amount of blindness that's inherent in
Exactly.
this. Um,
Exactly.
and then if it's a case where, so is it a case then for the American player, are they putting anything on their map until they bump into something?
No,
Um,
I would have them put on what their plan was, what they
Okay.
said. It
no,
said you
yeah,
you take this road to Germantown, you take this
right.
road to whatever, and they would do that,
No, and let's face it, there is quite a good chance that 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 you are where you think you are, right? I mean, it's only a zero
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
causes
Yeah.
right. I
There's
mean,
a
it's
10% chance you're gonna
yeah,
take
it's
the wrong
not a
turn.
very high likelihood,
But
and so
it's
yeah,
that's
you
it. But
definitely.
I thought that was for every unit that hits that intersection.
I don't think so because I think you follow the ones in front of you. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think you would be if you're following in columns. You're in.
I
You,
mean, I don't know. I'd have to go back and reread it because I
I
didn't read
mean,
it.
I have been in fog heavy enough where you could happen where it would be every unit. I have
Yeah,
been in
so
fog
here, wrong
that
turns.
heavy.
Units or
Nope.
stacks that begin their move using road movement or
Yeah.
heavy fog are not subject to disorientation. As such units, however, are subject to wrong turns. When the unit or stack encounters a road intersection, the owning player announces whether the unit will continue movement and in which direction. If the unit continues movement, he rolls a die. If the
Okay.
result is 0, so that means
Right.
every battalion, every
Every
battery, everything that's
stack.
hitting that intersection.
Right.
So if you've got 10
So
units that are hitting that, there's a good chance that one of
there-
them is going to go off in the
yeah.
wrong direction.
So and again, I think this is where I think we're going to have to do a little bit of role playing here, and I think the umpire is going to have to figure this out, right? Because imagine this: imagine one unit takes a wrong path.
Right.
And at some point, those, just the way columns stretch and squeeze and stretch and squeeze, you're going to realize you're going to squeeze into the unit that's not the unit you were expecting in front of you.
Right.
Right? At some point, the ones who are off wandering by themselves are going to go, how is it we can hear nobody? Stop. You run back 50 yards. You run forward 50 yards. Or let's see where we are. It's like, have we
Right.
made a wrong turn? So it's just, and again, I'm totally okay that there won't be necessarily bar rules for this, but just, oh, by the way,
Well, there actually are rules too. I noticed a rule there that if you do bump into a unit that you're not expecting, there's
Oh yeah,
Yeah, there's a chance that people are going to
a
route.
route.
right. But anyway, I guess the point is that because ultimately the fun of it is when you suddenly come to the understanding that you've got a unit missing out of the middle of your column. When do you figure it out? Right? I mean, eventually you're going to.
Right.
I
yeah,
don't
when
know.
the
Do you
fog
figure it out
lifts.
when the fog lifts, or when the head of the column reaches the enemy, and then the next unit comes up, and it's like, wait a minute, where'd the 3rd battalion go? And then, oh, by the way, they're a mile over that way, right? I
Right.
think that'd be hilarious.
Well, and I think that so is it a case where we want to try to do this, and have this thing with the referee, whatever else, until the fog lifts? In which case, then we go back to our usual type of approach, or
Oh, that's another good point. I don't know. I would suppose that once the fog lifts, we should probably assess the degree to which everybody's units are really visible.
right,
Right.
Because it's possible that when the fog lifts, there are still formations that there's no reason for the enemy to be able to see. In which
Yes.
case, maybe we keep going with it for a
Right.
while.
Yeah. I mean, to me,
Right.
that's the way a true double blind would actually go.
Yeah, yeah, and then maybe we get to a point where it's we're all in each other's faces. In which case, there's no point. It's really just a burden.
right. I mean,
But definitely,
yeah.
fog's going on for sure.
Right, but so here's what I'm thinking, right? With the American player, you're probably going to get more than a few battalions that go off on in the wrong direction in the fog,
Yeah.
and who knows where they
Yeah.
end up. And
Yes.
so at some point, right, they need to start heading back towards their command. So what's
Yes.
the mechanism for them to they're out of command. What's their mechanism for moving back towards command?
Well,
So
I would
Is
suppose
that
first of all,
happen when the light
probably-
fog? Is that happen when it's heavy? When it's clear? At some point in time, the Americans are going to need to get those forces back up. Who knows what sort of where they might be
Right.
higgly piggly at that point in time.
Well, I think you're right. Absolutely. I mean, I think
I-
clearly what
If some unit is part of a column and all of a sudden it goes from heavy fog to light fog and he doesn't see the rest of his column,
yeah,
he then
Right.
has to figure out where he is and how to get back to where he needs to be.
Okay.
right. And actually that's an interesting perspective because it's not just a function of does the column recognize that he's missing, but does he recognize that
Yeah.
he's missing? You actually need to kind of take both perspectives. If the one unit has just maybe, I don't know, crossed a piece of terrain that makes no sense based on where they're supposed to be, maybe that's when the umpire says, yeah, by the way, this unit's over here. And you go, oh shit, didn't know that.
Right.
And then of course, just because of the unity of our brains, that means the column knows that there's somebody missing too. Because you can't split that, right?
think one and unthink the other.
And then of course, yeah, that unit's out of command, but could just do an about face and make their way back the same road they came out,
Right.
right? And obviously, at some point, it's not going to be fog anymore, and then none of this matters, right? Because then you
Right.
can just move them how you want.
And at some point, there's going to be fire. And so
Exactly.
when they start hearing cannons fire and
And then
infantry
you can
musket fire, they go,
move to
oh,
the sound
wait
of
a
the
minute.
guns.
Right.
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 But I will confess that I think that this is going to require a certain degree of judgment on the part of the umpire
Oh, yes.
to just try to make it all make some sense, even though
Hmm.
there won't necessarily be rules the way we're used to having explicit rules. Um, I
Right.
don't know.
I think this is
I
going
don't
to be,
know.
I think this would
Well,
be a very interesting experiment. And,
it
and
would
as I say,
be
I volunteer to be the umpire for the
Okay.
first experiment.
okay. So all right. So now back to the broadcast.
Yes.
How would that work? What are we looking at?
Well, it could be actually interesting on the broadcast if let's say Eric's British and he just broadcasts. As long as you don't go watch his broadcast, then you know it could be very interesting for his audience to see how something like this working.
Well, it sounds like if we were going to be looking at Eric's screen, it seems like it'd be more interesting if Eric was the Americans, though,
I would think
Okay,
so
because
let's do it that way. Either way,
because then
the
things are going to
British
be
are just
going
going to be
wrong.
sitting. The
Yeah.
British are just going to be sitting doing nothing until they become alerted, and so I just don't think there'd be anything to see.
that's true. You
Yeah.
are
Yeah, at least
And
with
so
the
everybody
Americans,
else,
stuff is going to be moving, even if it's not going where I intend it to go.
or even where you think it's going.
Yeah, yeah. But it'll be the case where it's coming along, and then suddenly I'll bump into something, and when that happens, then then at that point in time, it's we'll start to have some sort of action. So looking at it, I would say that if stuff has gotten discombobulated, when the fog changes from heavy to light, that would be one moment where those units that have gotten out of command could then start to
Absolutely.
head back towards their command.
Exactly.
And then
And
when
certainly
it
if
goes
there's
from
contact.
and then when it goes from light to clear, then at that point in time we either continue on with the refereeing,
Yeah.
or and then anything that's gotten discombobulated in the meantime. I think it's only during the heavy fog that we have the stuff where people are taking wrong turns. I don't think that happens in the light fog.
I think you're probably right. Uh,
So it says in heavy fog,
heavy
not
fog,
disorientation, but wrong turns, and
heavy
during heavy
fog.
fog. So it looks like it's only during the heavy fog that we have
okay.
the case where stuff is going to get lost. So once the light fog happens, stuff can start to move back towards wherever
Yeah,
it needs to go.
stuff start showing up in the actual hexes where it really is, not where the American player thinks it is.
Right.
Right. So
Oh
all
my
of a sudden
gosh.
they can see their surroundings a little more. They can tell, oh,
Yeah, exactly. They're like, wait a minute. And first of all, where are the guys who are supposed to be in front of us? And where are those woods that were supposed to be to our left? You know?
Yeah. So it says here,
Yeah.
let's see, so the only exception it looks like with the wrong turns is reinforcements are not subject to wrong turns during the activation in which they first enter the map. The British
Yep.
pickets are never subject to wrong turns.
Right.
So at least anything that's coming on the first turn is going to make it where at least, at some distance on the road before, and then it would be in subsequent turns that it could that it could go off in the wrong direction.
Right. Right.
And I think for the heavy fog, everything is moving at half speed if you're in road column. And then once the fog clears, you're able to move a little bit more rapidly. because it looks like they had,
Mm,
depending on the on what
so,
kind of, if you're on a
so
path, it's a half movement point per hex. If you're on a minor road, it's a quarter of a movement point per hex. And if you're on a major road, it's a sixth of a movement point per hex.
yeah, but it's only a half a movement point per hex in
It,
the
fog
heavy
turns, it
fog.
says, right?
Right. And there's no rapid marching permitted, so it's really just 8 hexes
Yes, yes, during the fog.
during the heavy fog, yeah.
So is that true for?
The light fog is the same, but you may rapid march.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's the same cost. It's still half a movement point on road hexes, but you can
That's right.
rapid march. Okay. Starting at the 8 a.m. turn. Checks for the fog lifting. All right. Okay. Well, this sounds like an interesting potential experiment. What are some other logistics that we need to figure out then?
Okay, all right, so you're going to be sharing the American screen
Right. So what
with
we would need to set up is in we we would each need to set up a game room in
Right.
here on when we come to it. So we'd have one that would just be the American game room that's going to have me in it, and we're going to have one that is um, uh,
British.
the British one, and then
yeah.
David will be able to bounce back and forth potentially between the two.
Yes. Between the two, and I can have the master off on another screen on my computer here.
Right. And the master
Okay.
one is going to be just on your own. It's not going to be online.
Right.
Right. So therefore you'd be able to bounce back and forth without having to close out and reopen or whatnot. Um,
Hmm.
and then as things are happening, then you would
Now,
update the players as they happen.
now
Yes.
I don't want to be dense, but is it possible for you to have two games open at the same time with using the same module?
So let's
Yeah.
go ahead and do
Oh
that
yeah.
now. Yeah, go ahead
I
and so Michael, go ahead and exit and create another game room, and
No,
then
no, no. That's not my point.
oh,
My point is David is is, is going to have an offline version
y-
of this game running, and he's
yep.
also going to be online in one or both of these rooms.
I, probably can only be in one of the online games at one time.
Okay. Okay.
But I know I can have an offline one because I do it every time we play.
Oh,
I,
okay. So I didn't.
I open up the original game we're playing that. So if I have to look and say what we've moved a unit and say, oh no, he was
Oh,
starting
okay.
here. I've already done that. I mean, that's no problem at all. I've done
Okay.
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I've done that too for the same reason. Like we had a unit that got deleted or moved, and you don't know
Yeah.
where the hell it is, and so we're just like, okay, what unit was that, and where was
Where?
it? And so you can pull up, um, offline the map and the save from the previous session, and so you can
Okay.
see that.
No,
So that's
you're
going to
right.
allow
I'm
that'll allow Dave to have his master copy,
right.
and then us to have our copy.
Okay.
So let's see.
Okay.
We have Achilles who's chiming in. It's interesting watching you wrestle with issues we deal with all the time in IKS games. So that's the International Kriegspiel. So Achilles,
Right.
Oh,
any
how funny.
any suggestions you might have, we would
Yeah.
certainly be happy.
We are
So
clearly.
David and I have watched a fair number of those International Kriegspiel. I have not yet had an opportunity to play, mostly because it doesn't fit with my schedule. The Saturday morning ones I'd love to do, but I have to teach Saturday afternoon. A lot of times those games look like they go on for hours and hours on end. Um, but it certainly would look like a hoot. Um, but yeah, okay.
Okay, yep, I
And
see that. I have another game open to the side. It took me mechanically figuring out how to do it, but I get it now.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Um, wow. Okay then.
Okay, so it sounds
So
like what needs to happen is Michael would need to set up the
finalize
British.
my set up,
Right.
and frankly, I will finalize my setup and just send it to David because there's no point you having to redo all that, right? You might as well just use that as your
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
whatever you so you set it up and then you send him the file with the setup
exactly,
Well,
and
exactly,
and he doesn't won't even have to do that. What I'm going to do, he should set up a room and do the setup, and I can just save it right from there, and I can see. And the same thing with you. You will set up an American room online here,
right,
and you will have your columns in their appropriate positions, and the only thing you'll have to send me differently is a summary of where the destination for each column is.
right. Okay.
okay,
All right. Well, that
okay,
sounds
And if we do it online, that also gives me the chance to be able to look at it and see if I end up with any other questions uh, initially here to start it, that that might bring things up or whatever like that. So
okay,
right.
okay. This is this is this is enough to boggle the mind a little bit.
yeah, so you go up and just new room, say that American setup or whatever you want, and call it whatever you want, and go into there, and then I can go back and forth between the two. So,
Well, why
and
don't
you
we
don't need.
so
Do you want to just use the one you're currently in
I'll
here,
just stay in
Eric?
the one that's right now and then
Yeah.
oh okay, then he's set up British Germantown and then you can just experiment, bounce out from one to the next
Yep. And I'm
and
going to delete all the British units in here so that you don't have anything to confuse you. And you each have the scenario.
Right.
Follow your
Okay.
instructions, and I will
Follow the
review them too.
instructions. Probably won't be the most riveting television ever, but uh, okay. And
all right. So
and
very
and, and
interesting.
if Eric would like to tell his audience anything, then he could go into a separate room in Discord for a moment and tell his
you
audience what he's
scoundrel.
doing or whatever and stuff
There
like
we
that.
go.
But all right, so have you created a
Yep. So
yes?
he's
It's a
got one
British
called British
Germantown.
Germantown. Yeah.
Yep. And for as I said, I think all the American units start off the map, so you would just
Yeah. So they all come on
uh,
as reinforcements.
right. So
Right.
you'll just create your columns and put them at their appropriate entry point, and then make notes that you will send to me
Right.
to the destination for each one by what road and whatever. So, and then I'm going to go check out the British here and see what
Road.
they're
Ha
doing.
ha. You think we're going to use roads? We're not going to use any
We
stinking
don't need
roads.
no stinking roads. Uh,
All right. Let's see, this is an offline one. Okay, I already have an offline map, and I can, all right, and then I can see what, and I can join as observer.
okay.
All right, so I'm looking at the British here.
Now, one
Right.
thing to check, David, is as an observer, see if it will allow you to manipulate any of the counters.
I was on as observer before, and I was able to delete almost all of them off there, so I assume that I
That's a
can
pretty
actually,
good sign, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
I will, let's see, yeah, I can move, I'm
Oh
in
yeah. Yeah.
Michael's game,
Yeah.
I
They're
just
moving.
moved one.
Okay, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, because
So, yep,
we had it. There was another vassal module that I was doing
right.
something with, and the observer was not able to do stuff. Let's see. Achilles says that we use Discord, of course, and screenshots from the umpire showing what the commander can see. Um, yeah, we've seen that before with those sort of big group games where the
Yep.
umpire is then showing, hey, this is what Nay can see, and this is what this other Korga leader can see,
Well, that
and
makes a lot of sense, especially multiplayer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They usually are dealing with very large contingents of people
Right.
in those ones. So this will be interesting. Okay. So I have to kind of figure out what I want to do with my command and where I want to come in.
Yeah, that's frankly the most interesting part of this whole thing is
Yeah, so it looks like I can have up to 3 columns.
right.
And then
No.
Washington, Knox, and Sullivan's wing are always part of the main army. And who is Knox? What does Knox have?
Oh, he's the special artillery leader.
Ah, okay. I was looking to try to find. So Washington and General Knox and Sullivan are together. Okay, and then I could either attach more
Oh no.
things to that or fewer.
Oh dear. That's not okay.
All right, so we're doing scenario 2. Washington's choice.
Okay.
Yes.
And
All right, so I need to. All right, so
All right, I gotta check those.
this will start it.
spots.
Oh, there is no 5 o'clock on the turn record track.
Yeah.
in the vassal module?
In the
there
vassal
probably
one.
isn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think and probably some of the charts are outdated on the vassal module.
Oh no, you can be sure of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because really, the published date on these is only 2023 for Matthew's updated rules.
Right. Okay, so it's easy enough. I'll just use the my in-game one for the turn
Sure.
record,
Right.
and that will start at 0. And is there a fog? Yes, there is a fog marker. We'll
Okay.
start with heavy fog.
Let's see. Achilles
we're
says,
heavy.
Eric, you should try out one of our play-by-post games. We run many all the time, and the time requirement is only a few minutes, a couple of times a week, usually to get reports and give orders. Oh, that's cool. I will have to sign up for one of those. So that sounds kind of like what you had done there, Michael, a few years back with those guys that were doing
Yes.
Yes.
The
whole
flight of the
launch shot
eagle.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I'm sorry it didn't work out, but I could also see what a tremendous amount of work it is to make it work. So, okay. Infantry, cavalry routed. Surprised artillery units are deployed unlimbered. Okay.
All right. And the green number. All right, so that's the alert number.
Okay, all right. Think I got that much. Boop, boop.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about this battle, but I think
I
that,
know that's
yeah,
that's the worst
and so
part.
I'm just like, well, what was Washington trying to do? Actually, I have no idea. Well, we should
He's
probably
trying to
read
do
through
it.
the scenario, victory conditions.
He's well,
It's
and it's basically to kill British units.
Yeah.
kill more of them, they kill you.
Than he- right.
That's what it comes
Either
down
side
to.
wins the instant their opponent totals their army record loss equals or exceeds 75. If both sides reach that number simultaneously, the game is a draw. If neither side wins, it's a British victory. Special rules summary. The Americans have the first initiative, right? So we don't have to roll for initiative on that one. The American
Oh, that's
player
right.
write down columns, points of entry, and projected paths, after which the British player sets up. The American player can have up to 3 columns, Green, or Stephen can be detachment leaders for columns. Sullivan's column must have as many elements as any other column. American columns must follow projected path until adjacent to British troops or combat occurs within 15 hexes. American column rules for map entry based on entry hex. American cavalry enters the game on the first light fog turn. British player does not roll for surprise removal until the turn after the army is alerted. The British army is alerted by Americans moving within 2 hexes of a British unit or by a die roll during the rally phase. British pickets may not move until alerted, except light infantry can move on a roll of 9 when they are activated. Cornwallis's grenadiers have a random entry. So British reinforcements.
Oh, I didn't realize there were reinforcements. What a deal.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
let's
they're
see
nice
here.
too.
Yeah, so you've got Matthews on the map. You've got Matthews Guard Brigade,
Okay.
1st Brigade of Kniephausen, 2nd Brigade of Kniephausen.
You're not allowed to look at that stuff there, General Washington.
I'm just just
I
reading off what's there, and then
But it sounds
you've
like
got
it sounds like how they arrive is still random anyway, right?
no. Those are the ones that are on the map. The reinforcements are you've got a couple of grenadiers, and it looks like a foot battalion, and Cornwallis. So a couple of grenadier battalions and a line one show up at some point in time. Let's see what it says here. On a roll of 9 turns after the army is alerted, at the start of each turn, begin rolling 1 die for their entry. On a die roll of a 7 through 9, they enter the map at W7032 in road column. As long as they remain in road column and within Cornwallis's command range, they are considered in command. Once those conditions end, normal command rules will apply. Yeah, and if there's still heavy fog, they could take a wrong turn, I suppose. So, cool. All right. So let me figure out what I'm going to do here.
if they come in, what time? When
So
is
they
it
come
after?
in 9 turns after the
Okay, the
army
heavy
is
fog.
alerted.
Yeah, that probably
Heavy-
won't be any fog at that point.
yeah. Heavy fog ends at 7:40. Or yeah, 7. Uh,
Is it
There
7:40? You
there
start
is
rolling forward at 8
there's
o'clock, I thought.
there's a certain time that it ends.
but 9 o'clock is when it must end if it hasn't already.
Automatic light on 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So in theory, right, if you are alerted, say by the 6 o'clock turn, 9 turns later is going to be 3 hours. So that would be 9 a.m. in theory, and that by then it's light fog, so they wouldn't get lost per se. Okay, cool.
And the good part, or the fun part, is that you're going to have no idea when they're coming.
Yeah, because I won't know when necessarily, although
And you won't know what the roll is, and you won't know what
that's true.
because
That's true.
he will roll it
Yeah,
on his.
there's going to be a lot of poker here.
There is. We're not sure.
Okay, 4th Brigade. 25 to 29. Okay.
Let's see, what else? Achilles says, if you ever decide you want to give it a try, DM me and I will give you some suggestions on which ones to join. There
Oh,
are
that's
so many
great.
going on, and not all will be of the same quality. It helps to be familiar with the umpires when picking which ones to join. It's good to know.
Well, you know what my uncle used to tell me?
Yes, very
My,
good to know.
my uncle, who was an attorney,
Mhm.
says a good attorney knows the law, a great attorney knows the judge.
Yes, that sounds about right. That sounds about
Lawyers are
right.
always good for lawyer jokes. That's
There we
been
go.
my observation.
So,
I got to see if Ed Wimble's house is somewhere here on the map.
yeah, I was looking for that. I didn't notice one yet, but I hadn't checked them all yet.
See, we got Michael Shearer saying, yes, I asked if you guys would do Germantown a few months ago. Thank you. Yes. So thanks for the suggestion, Michael. We are doing it, and we're going to be doing it double blind with it
More
and
clueless than
yeah,
usual.
yeah, definitely very clueless. So um, we'll see here.
And Michael, your British units, two of them, the light units look like they have breakdown counters if you
Yeah,
wish.
they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I was reading those rules earlier. I'm just getting to those guys now. 17 to 3, 53. Oh, there they are. Okay, within 1 hex of.
Right.
Okay. Okay. AQ 60. 24. Oh, okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Oh dear.
All right.
Where
I'm going
is
to
it?
pop into another channel for a second.
All
Okay.
right.
All right, all those good people out there, I'm looking for your suggestions for what I should do. I can have up to 3 columns. I don't think I want to have 3 columns. I think I'm just going to stick with 2 columns. So I'll probably have things kind of set up the way they are historically, where Green's got a detachment with McDougal, Mullenberg, Whedon, and Stevens going to be along for the ride. So that's going to be Woodford and Scott. And then we'll have Washington with Sullivan, Wayne, and Alexander. Um, question is, guys, where do you think I should come in? Um, Historically, it looks like Washington is coming in on the from the northwest. Um, there on the Chesterton Hill on the main road, Chesterton Hill to Germantown, and it looks like Green is coming in. Where does Green come in? Doot, doot, doot. E11010 and E1007. Yeah, it looks like he's coming in on the. They're all coming in, sort of on this upper map edge. Um, yeah, so I'm wondering how far apart I want to separate them, um, so I don't end up having the British defeat me in detail. But I like the idea of surprising them, where I have something and then something else shows up on another flank. Could be could be very problematic depending on how things go. Um, yeah, yeah. So, any suggestions out there, people in the YouTube universe? Should I try to keep my two columns close together, or have them separated? The idea being one's going to come in, and then the other one's coming in at a different from a different direction to potentially catch the British in the flank. So, go ahead. This is a great time for you guys to vote. What should I do? Or maybe I'll make it a poll for people to do. I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll do it as a poll, and then you guys can vote the next few days, and then I will implement what your suggestions are. So that's what I think I'm going to do. All right, David, I've decided what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to create a poll on the YouTube channel that is going to allow people to vote for what for what they
What
want
should
me to
you
do.
do?
Exactly. So have them vote, and my options are going to be, do we want the columns to be stay close together? Do you want to have them separated? And I'll give a couple of different options for people, and then I'll probably give it until like midweek to
Okay.
to vote, and then I can send you pretty much the I can either send you
V
a
save.
file, yeah, a
Yeah.
vsave, um, with the stuff. Although you're going to need to, you know, I could just say, okay, well, yeah, I just basically have who's the lead and and the order in which the stuff is marching, and then you can
Right.
figure it out from there. Um,
If I have any questions, I'll let you know. But yep, and that, and then I can set up the master with that information.
yeah, 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 and I think that would be a hoot then for folks. They can, because I watch Little Wars TV, on
Yep.
YouTube,
Okay.
and they often will do that where they will have their members or their patrons or whatever else vote on which strategy to adopt or whatnot. So I thought, oh, this is cool. Normally we're in the middle of something, and we can't actually like throw it to the audience, but
Yeah.
this at least we can say okay. And of course, if it goes terribly wrong, I can just
Then you,
I can
yeah,
just blame it on the audience. I can just say, "Oh well, I totally want to do something else, but I'm democracy. Yeah, I followed what you guys wanted me to do, and look here we are. Yeah, so I think that should be fun. We'll give that a try. So good.
Okay.
Um, I don't know that we need to go into a lot of detail. It sounds like David, from your point of view. So if you could, just for the sake of myself and for the sake of the audience, kind of run through how you think things are going to be running then, you as the
uh,
referee.
how okay. Well, on play night, initially I'll have a map. I've got the mass. I'll have the master map set up. You each have your own individual maps, and you will. Um, right now, Michael's setting up his initial setup, and that's how the master is going to start at that point. And then I will add, when I get your information on the first move, I will add those columns into on appropriate roads. And then once we have that set up, then we'll start with the first activation, which will be an American, and
Right.
I'll be on in your map, and you'll do your roll to see, or you'll tell me who's activating, and then you'll tell me, you'll tell me who's activating and move him, and I will update the master with that information.
Okay.
If there's any decisions that like road decisions that need to be made, or um, column or movement through terrain that may be going the wrong direction, I will actually update my map with that information, and yours will keep going the way you're expecting it to go.
Okay. Sounds cool. Achilles
And
says the Little Wars TV. He said I was on the IKS team that played them in their latest video. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I just watched that video earlier this week. It was a looked like it was a great game, and they managed to squeak out a victory there. The Little Wars TV guys. So Achilles, I need to figure out how to get in touch with you. If you are on Discord, are you on our Discord server for? If so, then you can um, um hit me up. I'm Doctor Who 42 on Discord on the Labatai server, and then you can message me, and then I can get in touch with you, and we can look into doing something with uh, the International Kriegspiel, because I would love to do a
yeah,
broadcast, a live stream of that, or something like when I'm playing it. I can put together a video so that way other people can um, learn about it from my channel as well. So cool. Yeah.
and
So just contact me, Achilles, if you can
right, and
through Discord.
keep me updated and also because I'm also interested
Yeah.
in
Well, now
that.
that
So
you're retired,
yeah, I've got more
officially
time.
retired, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Well, and that's probably why you're volunteering to do the refereeing, because you'll have time to sort of sort things out and think things out.
So,
So no,
yeah.
that's very cool. Thank you, David.
Okay.
All right, so you'll have your master going. We'll do stuff, and your let's see, yeah, you should be able to find here. I'll put an invite in the chat for the Discord server.
You're doing that for
I'm doing
Achilles,
that,
huh?
yeah, for
Yeah.
Achilles. All right, so I just posted the invite to the Labatai game series. That's the one that we use for now, not only Labatai, but obviously here for Battles of the Age of Reason. And every now and again, we'll use it even when we're playing computer games. But yeah, I didn't see a reason in creating a separate bar one.
15 from the map.
So cool. And so then, David, you will then have us kind of roll, and then I don't
Right.
know. I think
And then for activations, you'll each roll. I'll tell you, and then I'll tell you who won, and whether it's if it's a wing activation or whatever. I do need to be aware of what those numbers are. I'm sure it's
right.
on here somewhere.
Yeah, it's there in the rule
Um,
book, and you'll have to get up to date with the terrain and all that jazz too. There's all kinds
yep.
of different interesting stuff along here with severe and gentle slopes and like sloping terrain. Um,
And what I will also do is I will do the rolls separately on your, the road turns and stuff like that, the road intersections. So you will not be aware if I rolled a 0 or whatever. So
Sure. No, absolutely. That's the only way
yeah,
for
yeah,
it to
yeah.
work.
That would be how you would do it. I would then move my units with the presumption that
you were fine.
that they're going where I think they're going, and then you will have me go somewhere else. Right? Well, you'll be secretly moving them higgly piggly wherever they may really go. Now, and just to be clear, right, when it says units, that's military units. That's not leaders, right?
Oh, certainly.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like General Washington is going to take the wrong turn. The various units
Well,
might
I
take.
mean, but
What, how do we handle that, or how are we thinking about that?
I would assume that whoever he's, yeah, that's a problem because we ordinarily allow leaders to move separately from the stack they're with. Um, but that's a little problematic.
Well, usually when they're on the road, we actually usually have the leader on somebody on the road with them. If there's a case where they're not, then he would probably be directly in front of some other one unit. And I think the way I would handle as referee is I would handle the unit, or I'd actually handle with Washington making the decision and the unit following.
So if you're stacked with Washington, then you're not taking the wrong turn, is what you're saying.
No, if you're stacked with Washington, you can still take the wrong turn, but
You
it's
could take.
only one roll for him in the unit.
Okay. So what if Washington is not stacked with a unit?
Then, as I said, he probably would be only one hex away from a unit, and then I think I would do it as a combined roll for that unit and Washington.
Okay. So it's possible that the leaders could take a separate turn. So even though they're not technically units, right? Because it says here you're rolling for units when they come to the intersection.
Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense that Washington automatically knows the way and his troops go turning down the wrong road and he just lets them go. It just doesn't make any sense.
No,
Yeah.
and that's why I wanted to clarify, because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, how do I do this? I
Well,
mean, yeah, if
so
if it was a case where it's units, then it's like, okay, well, Washington is going to go this way. I know the bulk of my forces are going to end up down here. Some are going to split off and go higgly piggly. But from a game point of view, if I don't have Washington stacked with somebody, then he's not, or whoever, whatever the brigade leader
yeah.
is, they're not going
Well,
to
how
get
about this?
lost. And so,
How about this?
yeah,
How about first of all, he needs to follow the column just along with everybody else. And if he's in a hex with a unit, then he's subject to the roll for the unit. And if
right.
he's for some reason not in a hex with a unit, then he's subject to his own roll.
Okay. Yeah. So then he's part of the stack, and so the stack makes a roll, not each individual unit, which is already clear specified
Right.
there. So cool. Achilles
I would
writes.
change.
Achilles
I was
writes. Then Washington is making a mistake. I'm just like, yeah, and that's what's going to happen in heavy
Yeah.
fog.
And
He's
and
not going
guess
to know
what?
where to go any better than anybody else per se.
No, not at all.
Right. The only slight change I would make that is that he would, if he's next to another unit, again they would be combined versus not a separate. Washington's not going to go make a right in the unit that he's leading right in front of, go the other direction.
Right. So I might as well just have them stacked, and we'll just see where the
Stacked or
chips
next
fall. Yeah. Yeah.
that's all we can say. It either has to be stacked or next to a unit.
Yeah. Yeah. And in either case, well, if he's stacked with a unit, that's one less die roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he's not stacked with a unit, then that's a separate. That's a second die
No,
roll.
I would keep that as I said. If he's
Oh,
next
the
to a
unit that
unit,
he's
that
in
unit,
front of, yeah, then it's going to take whatever route he goes. Okay, that makes sense.
yes, it's one
Okay.
die roll, and he goes with that unit.
Okay,
So
cool. All right. Well, good. Then I've got a game plan here. We've got, we got 9 people watching. This is really good.
wow.
Sorry, people, we don't have a lot of interesting things to show because we're not actually doing a lot with the stuff on the map. I'll
battle
bring up
itself.
I'll bring up the order of battle so people at least can see what the American Army looks like. And we've got altogether looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 brigades. and some are larger and some are smaller. The New Jersey Brigade is pretty small. It looks like it's just some artillery and a couple of infantry there. And most of my stuff is pretty small.
Yeah. Michael, you want to go down to
I'll go to another channel so I can chat without you guys interrupting
well,
you guys.
that way we can come back at when
Oh,
we're done.
okay.
Yeah.
well,
So where are we going?
do we got a British channel down here? We got a French
No.
coalition.
Your
We'll use a
coalition.
coalition. Yeah.
All right. So let's see if you guys can see what I'm showing on the map. No, for whatever reason, it's not showing. Interesting. Let's see if I can bring up another source. Ah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so sometimes it's cool. All right. Can I move this? No. It's either there or it's gone. All right. So we can see the American Army, and most of the units are pretty small. A lot of these battalions are 2 increments, 4 increments. Yeah, not a lot. And in this particular, so with some of the games that we had played, if you'd had a chance to watch the ones that are happening, that are taking place in Europe, each strength point or each increment is equivalent to 100 infantrymen in Europe. Here in the US, each strength point is equivalent to 50 guys. And so a lot of these units are just 100 men, right? We're looking at Nash's, this is the North Carolina Brigade. Most of these different regiments are 100 guys. So they are not very big. I think the largest unit the Americans have, and they've got a couple of 8 increment battalions or regiments. And so that's going to be 400 men. So not really a large force here. Now, I think stacking is different. I think you can stack up to 8 increments on the roads. So in many cases here, we can get Nash's brigade. They can get everybody sort of stacked up there in 2 hexes, and they're all ready to roll. Yeah, and so that would be one way of us trying to do stuff. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post to the YouTube channel a vote, a poll, so people can vote for how they want to have the Americans in 1 wing, 2 wings, or 1 column, 2 columns. I wouldn't want to have 1 column, so let's have 2 columns, and then it would be a case where we would be marching either closer together or further apart. And that would be kind of how we would want to go ahead and do that particular arrangement. So yeah, I think that would be fun. If you guys like that idea, just let me know in the comment section here. And I think there isn't too much else to kind of talk about. What we'll do is next week, then we will see where things start to shake themselves out with the actual game itself, and start to actually do stuff. For the Americans, we've got a couple of different choices. We've got a road march here, here, this main road there, another road here, and then over on the northern side of the map, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, and I'm wondering which way to come in. To come in from 2 separate angles, or to come in together. Of course, you never want to divide your forces in the face of the enemy, but it could be interesting to see what happens. And given the fact that everybody is, kind of coming in at their own rate, it could be, depending on where I'm at, nobody shows up for a while, depending on how far out along the roads we go. All right, Jason says this will be a fun one to watch. Yes, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So it'll be our first time trying something quite like this. I think it was a very creative idea on David's part to suggest that. Let's see, Michael says, yes, I'm really looking forward to this one. Well, great. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys following the channel. And if you haven't had a chance to watch the tutorial that Michael McAlpin and I did the last couple of weeks, we had 2 tutorials. One on the how to use infantry and the mechanics for infantry in Battles of the Age of Reason. And then last weekend we did one on cavalry. So we had a chance to do some combat and movement and everything else and kind of go through that. And we had some spectacular results with both, which is what makes the game fun. It has a very interesting narrative in that regard, with all the silly things that happen. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off the stream now. Look for that poll in the it'll be in the community section for the YouTube channel, and then go ahead and vote, and then I will be implementing whatever the most popular choice is for the attack of the Americans on the British at Germantown. So until the next episode, everybody, be well.